Imagine this, you're sitting comfortably at home, watching cartoons. Everything feels normal. Then suddenly, the TV screen goes black. At first you think it's just a technical glitch, but in the very next moment, a loud emergency siren echoes through the room. This wasn't just any alert. This was the beginning of the end for humanity. The story begins with a small child. His innocent world shatters when breaking news flashes on the TV. The anchor, speaking in a trembling voice, reports that a strange and deadly virus has spread across the globe. This virus turns humans into cannibalistic monsters while they're still alive. The government issues only one command: turn your homes into fortresses, and do not step outside under any circumstances. Terrified, the child runs around the house searching for his mother. That's when he finds his older sister, Abigail. Panic fills the entire home. Their mother is hurriedly packing supplies while talking on the phone with their father, Jack. Jack is a pilot. From the sky, he's witnessing the chaos consuming the city. His voice shakes as he shouts over the phone, "Don't wait for me, take the kids and leave the city immediately. This virus will spare no one." But fate had other plans. As they rush out of the house toward the car, a vicious zombie lunges at them from the darkness and grabs their mother. Little Abigail, frozen in fear, crawls under the car to hide. Through trembling eyes, she watches a horrifying scene, one that will haunt her forever. Her mother and her little brother are torn apart right in front of her. But the most terrifying moment comes next. Her mother, now turned into a zombie, slowly begins sniffing the air, searching for her own daughter beneath the car. It feels like everything is over. Then suddenly, a gunshot echoes through the darkness. It's Jack, a former soldier as well. Jack arrives just in time. Without hesitation, he fires a precise headshot, killing the zombie. But Jack knows there is no room for mercy left in this world. With a heavy heart, he is forced to shoot his own son too, because he is no longer human. Time passes. 10 years go by. The city that was once filled with noise, traffic, and people is now overgrown with tall grass and wild trees. This is no longer a world for humans. Now it belongs to the dead. In this ruined world, Jack and Abigail are all each other has. Over the years, Jack hasn't just raised Abigail, he's turned her into a survivor. He's taught her how to hunt, how to detect danger from a distance, and how to escape the shadow of death. But things aren't the same anymore. In 10 years, the zombies have changed. They were once slow and mindless, but now they're evolving. They can sense human presence and track their prey like hunters. One night, while Jack and Abigail are asleep, Jack's trained ears pick up a faint sound. A zombie has found their shelter. He gets up instantly, takes aim, and fires a silent, perfect headshot. But he knows one thing for sure. Where there's one hunter, the pack is never far behind. Staying here would be an invitation to death. The next morning, they mount their horses and set out in search of a safer place. From a hilltop, they spot a man below. He's alone, surrounded by zombies. Firing his last bullets, he struggles desperately to survive. Jack pauses for a moment, then says to Abigail, "Take aim, but don't shoot until I say so." Abigail grips the gun. This is the biggest test of her life. But in her nervousness, she makes a fatal mistake. Her finger slips on the trigger. The bullet tears through a zombie and hits the man straight in the chest. Everything ends in an instant. Jack is overwhelmed with anger and grief. When they reach him, the man is still alive, but barely. There's no saving him, so Jack does the only thing he can. He puts him out of his misery with one final shot. As they begin gathering supplies from the man's vehicle, 3 cars suddenly pull up. Armed people step out, guns pointed at them. They are the dead man's group. Among them are a pregnant woman, Megan, and her husband, David. Seeing their friend's body, rage takes over. They assume Jack and Abigail killed him for supplies. Jack raises his hands, trying to explain. "Don't misunderstand. It was an accident. And if we don't leave now, the gunshots will bring a storm of death upon us." But blinded by anger, they refuse to listen. The situation escalates, guns raised, tension at its peak. And then a strange haze begins rising on the horizon. Within seconds, everyone realizes it's not fog, it's a massive horde of zombies. Hundreds of them, charging toward them at terrifying speed. Now they are trapped. In front of them, a sea of death. Behind them, human hostility. Only one question remains. Will Jack and Abigail survive this blood-soaked nightmare? Or will this broken world consume them too? After the deafening chaos of gunfire and desperate screams, everything finally falls silent. But when the dust settles, the truth becomes clear. Only 4 people made it out alive. Jack's courage and Abigail's quick thinking somehow pulled them out of that circle of death. But the real fight was far from over. Now there were only 4 people left in the car: Jack, Abigail, and the 2 strangers, David and his pregnant wife, Megan. In a battered, barely functioning vehicle, they drive down an empty road, leaving death behind. The silence around them is suffocating, the kind where even the smallest sound feels like a threat. Then suddenly, the engine coughs and dies. The car comes to a stop in the middle of the road. Jack stands still for a moment. He knows the brutal reality of this world better than anyone. Without hesitation, he says, "This is where we part ways." Jack doesn't like carrying the burden of others, especially in a world where losing someone you care about is always just one mistake away. But David and Megan have nothing left to lose, except each other. Without saying a word, they begin following Jack, like shadows. Jack pauses, glances back at them, but can't bring himself to turn them away. Eventually, the four of them take shelter in an abandoned town nearby. Exhaustion, hunger, and fear have pushed everyone to their limits. Relying on his experience, Jack immediately gets to work. He sets up traps all around the house, carefully designed to slow down or kill anything that comes too close. He knows one thing for sure: zombies aren't the same anymore. They're no longer slow and mindless. They become hunters, creatures that can track humans by sound and even scent. Night falls. In the darkness, Jack spreads an old map on the floor and points something out to David. A few miles from here, there's a safe camp. Looking at Megan's condition, it's obvious. That place is their only hope. But Jack's intention is just as clear. He can show them the way, but he won't carry them there. Abigail doesn't like this at all. To her, Jack isn't just a mentor, he's a father figure, and she knows that for Megan and her unborn child, Jack is their best chance of survival. Outside, heavy rain begins to pour, but under the cover of that rain, something else is moving. Zombies have reached their abandoned car and are slowly following their scent toward the town. The circle of death is closing in. The next morning, Abigail sits on the rooftop, staring into the vast emptiness. Maybe she's thinking about her fate, or what's left of the world. Suddenly, two zombies lunge at her, but Abigail isn't that frightened little girl anymore. In a split second, she pulls out her knife and takes down the first one with lightning speed. The second one, she outmaneuvers it and sends it crashing off the roof. Jack watches all of this from a distance. For the first time, there's a faint smile on his face, a hint of pride. His training worked. Then Abigail suggests something bold, almost impossible. She tells him about an old airport nearby. If luck is on their side, they might find a small plane and fly straight to the safe camp. Jack goes silent. Questions race through his mind. Will a rusted plane abandoned for 10 years even start? Is it worth risking everything for strangers? But Abigail's determination and Megan's fragile condition finally change his mind. After a long and exhausting effort, using an old wheelchair and a broken vehicle, they somehow make it to the airport. The sight is eerie. Right in the middle of the runway stands an old passenger plane, as if it's been waiting for them all these years. David immediately rushes to the cockpit, desperately trying to start the engine. Meanwhile, Jack and Abigail climb up a watchtower, keeping an eye on the surroundings. Through binoculars, Abigail sees something that makes her heart stop. On the distant horizon, a dark ocean of zombies is rushing toward them. Hundreds of them. David fails again and again to start the engine. Frustration takes over and he starts yelling at himself. That's when Jack snaps at him. Don't lose it. Keep trying. But it's already too late. The zombies have reached the runway. Jack and Abigail open fire, holding them back, buying just a few more seconds. And then, just as a zombie reaches the plane's door, the engine roars to life. The plane begins to move. Several zombies latch onto the wings and doors, but Jack skillfully maneuvers the aircraft, shaking them off one by one. Finally, the plane lifts off the ground. For the first time in a long while, all four of them breathe in relief as they rise into the clouds. A sudden explosion rips through the air. The engine, rusted from 10 years of decay, can't handle the pressure and heat. Black smoke starts pouring out. The plane begins to shake violently. Below them, an ocean of the dead. Above them, a failing engine. Now only one question remains. Will this be their final flight, or will fate give them one more chance? The burning aircraft in the sky now looked like a blazing fireball. Every second felt like it could drop out of the sky at any moment. But Jack didn't give up. He pushed every ounce of skill and experience he had left. With immense effort, he steered the failing plane toward a dense forest and somehow managed to bring it down among the trees. This time, luck was on their side. The thick branches slowed their fall just enough. The impact was brutal, but miraculously, all four of them survived. But a new problem stood right in front of them. Evening was closing in, and the eerie silence of the forest hinted at unseen dangers. Looking for shelter, they spot an old abandoned factory nearby. Broken walls, rusted gates, and a strange, unsettling quiet all around. For now, it was their only option. Inside, Jack spreads out his old map once again, and the reality hits even harder. The safe camp is still about 2 days away. Disappointment is written all over David and Megan's faces. For the first time, Jack's hardened expression softens. Silently, he hands Megan a food pack and slowly opens up about a wound he's kept buried for 10 years. "I'm not heartless. This world just made me this way." He reveals how 10 years ago he tried everything to save his wife. But when he finally reached her, it was already too late. She had fallen victim to the virus and turned into one of them. And in the end, he had to kill her with his own hands. His voice grows heavy as he says, "Since that day, I haven't had a single peaceful night." Then he looks at Abigail. "She's all I have now, my only purpose left." A heavy silence fills the room. But the most dangerous turn in the story is yet to come. In the darkness of the night, David quietly steps outside. He pulls out his gun and slowly places it against his own temple. Why? Because a zombie had scratched him. The infection, the poison that slowly turns humans into monsters, had already begun spreading through his veins. David knows his end is near. He wants to end it himself. But then Megan's face flashes before his eyes. His pregnant wife completely dependent on him. His finger pulls away from the trigger. He makes a decision, "I'll get Megan to that safe camp." The next morning, the journey becomes even harder. David's steps grow unsteady. His face turns pale, his breathing heavier. He tries to hide it. But nothing escapes Jack's experienced eyes. At the first opportunity, Jack pulls him aside. After a brief silence, Jack asks directly, "How long?" David lowers his eyes. The truth is out. Begging, David says, "Just give me some time, let me live, until Megan is safe." He understands the helplessness of a man standing face to face with death. Without a word, he walks ahead. Deep in the forest, they suddenly spot something unusual, a light, a house with electricity. In this broken world, it feels like a miracle. When they knock, they are greeted by the owner, Norden. He lets them in, but on one condition. If you want to come inside, you leave your weapons outside. With no strength left to argue, they agree. But what they see inside shocks them. The table is filled with lavish food, as if the world had never ended. Norden introduces himself as a former scientist. Someone who, in the middle of all this destruction, built a world of his own. But as he talks, something feels off, more and more unsettling. Then he says, "This virus isn't a curse, it's an upgrade." According to him, zombies are the next and superior form of humans. Jack, Abigail, and the others remain silent. They just want to survive the night. But then, everything flips. When David walks out of the bathroom, the ground seems to slip beneath his feet. Jack, Abigail, and Megan are all lying unconscious on the floor. Norden had drugged the food. Smiling, Norden reveals a strange device strapped to his arm. This is no ordinary machine. It's a remote, one that allows him to control zombies. He has developed a unique kind of radiation, something that keeps zombies from attacking him. But his goal isn't to save humanity. With this power, he wants to become the ruler of a new world. Soon, all four of them are dragged into a dark basement. Their hands and feet are chained with heavy iron shackles. When they regain consciousness, they learn the most horrifying truth yet. Norden reveals that his own wife has turned into a zombie and is hidden somewhere nearby. But his madness doesn't end there. He captures travelers like them and feeds them to his zombie wife, just to keep her alive. And now, they are next. Only one question remains. Will Jack be able to break free from those iron chains? And will David, half consumed by the infection, still find the strength to save his wife from this chamber of death? In the suffocating silence of that basement, the moment Megan's eyes fell on David's wounds, her heart sank. The man she had dreamed of spending her entire life with now carried a deadly virus slowly consuming him from within. But before their emotions could break them completely, the madman Norden made his most terrifying move. He opened the cage. His zombie wife was now free. Norden was confident that the control device strapped to his arm had made him the god of this new world. But he forgot one thing. Standing in front of him were two survivors who had spent 10 years living through hell. Jack and Abigail didn't give up. The moment the monstrous woman lunged at them, they fought back with everything they had. In the chaos, David managed to break free from his restraints. And with a heavy heart, he put Norden's wife to rest, once and for all. Watching his entire research collapse before his eyes, Norden lost control and fled. The four of them didn't waste a second. They ran outside, grabbed Norden's vehicle, and sped toward their destination. But their struggle wasn't over yet. The sound of the engine awakened the dead lurking nearby. Within moments, a massive horde of zombies began chasing them. Their ammunition was running low, and the circle of death was tightening with every passing second. And then, David made a decision. One only a true hero could make. He knew the virus inside him wouldn't let him remain human for much longer. So to save his wife and the others, he suddenly jumped out of the moving vehicle. He gave himself to the swarm of hungry monsters so the rest could escape. His screams echoed behind them, but Jack held Megan in his arms, while Abigail provided cover fire as they pushed forward toward the camp. Finally, they saw it. Across the river, a massive ship. The safe camp, their final refuge. Snipers from the camp opened fire, raining bullets down on the approaching horde. A boat was sent out, and somehow the three of them escaped death and made it onto the ship. But the moment they arrived, Megan's condition worsened. Within a short time, she gave birth to a baby, a new life in the middle of a dying world. But her own life was slipping away. With her final breath, she placed the baby in Jack's arms and closed her eyes forever. But the story wasn't over yet. Elsewhere, Norden wasn't the kind of man to accept defeat. Using his control device, he gathered thousands of zombies and launched a direct attack on the ship. The real battle had begun. On the deck, Jack and Norden stood face to face. A deadly game unfolded. But Jack relied on his experience and precision, and in one powerful strike, he destroyed the control device. The signal broke, and the same zombies that once obeyed Norden turned on him like starving wolves. His end came at the hands of his own army. But in the middle of that chaos, one final heartbreaking moment remained. Abigail's eyes locked onto a zombie. There was something familiar. A worn-out band on his wrist and a faded photograph slipping from his pocket. Her heart started pounding. This wasn't a stranger. It was her father, the same man who had once risked everything to save her, 10 years ago. But before she could process it, her zombie father lunged at Jack. Now she faced the hardest choice of her life. On one side, the man who gave her life. On the other, the man who taught her how to survive. With trembling hands and a shattered heart, Abigail pulled the trigger. She freed her father from endless suffering, just as Jack had once freed his own wife. In the end, the entire ship was destroyed in a massive explosion to wipe out the infection at its source. Amid flames and rising smoke, only 3 remained: Jack, Abigail, and the newborn child. Now, they carry a new purpose, a new hope. They decide that until every last survivor finds a safe place in this broken world, they will stand and fight. Because maybe humanity had fallen, but hope was still alive. So, how did you find Jack and Abigail's journey? Do you want more intense cinematic stories like this?